I'm Sam, go to Trinity School, and this is a dice kit. Every time you tap it, it shows a different value that would be on a dice. And yeah, so here's how it works. On the bottom, there's a piezo sensor. It's made of a certain material whose atoms are arranged in a way that the positives and negatives all cancel out to make it neutral when it's just on its own. But when there's pressure or strain on the material, the protons and electrons have enough of a force on them to move to opposite sides, and therefore create an electric field, which is detected by the PIC. And so the PIC, what it can do with that is if it doesn't feel anything for 15 seconds, it goes into this sort of sleep mode, which is low energy, doesn't use much battery power, and so the dice kit doesn't need an on-off switch. The other thing it does is every time you tap it, the PIC takes a value between 0 and 1023, so 1024 values, 2 to the 10th, and takes a 10-bit value from that. From that 10-bit value, it takes the last 3 digits, the last 3 bits, and so there are 8 possible values, which are 0 to 7. And then it takes if it gets a 0, it turns it into a 1. If it gets a 7, it turns it into a 6. So every time you tap it, you get a different value between 1 and 6. So then it's output on the dice in different combinations of patterns. So 4 different pins on the PIC control 4 different sets of LEDs. One controls these 2, one controls these, these 2 middle, and then one of the pins controls just the center. With those 4 different combinations, you can create any of the patterns found on a dice, and so that's what's output. My main issue with making this was just all the soldering that had to be done. The other issue that I ran into was locking down the piezo so it wasn't moving without being tapped.